Okay, hey everyone, what's going on? I just want to show you this quick tutorial about how I would set up my session before I even start the mixing process. So hopefully this can help you out on how to organize your sessions in whatever DAW that you're using, Fruity Loops, Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, whatever the case may be. In this case, I'm using Nuendo, and I have a rap session, so I just kind of want to go through how I lay out my session. I kind of follow the traditional order that I've always learned, and it's always going to be drums first, then bass, then guitar, then keyboards and synthesizers, then vocals are always going to be last. And I'm following that same order in this session as well. So as you can see, I got all my drums laid out here, right there. And the specific order for drums in this case is kick, my snares and claps, and then I got my hi-hats and cymbal kind of instruments, and then I got my percussion, and then that's pretty much it. If you're doing an acoustic set, like an acoustic rock song or something that involves acoustic drum set, it will be kick, snare, rack tom, floor tom, overheads, then the room tracks, and that's kind of how it goes. In this case, I don't have any toms, so and all these are virtual instruments and not actual acoustic instruments. So that's how I got my drums laid out. And then finally, after my drums is going to be my bass. In this case, it's going to be an 808. This 808 is a melodic 808, and so I'm treating it like my bass instrument. And then I got my keyboards. I have specifically these more percussive melodic keyboard instruments like harps and this pluck synth right here. And then I have my softer instruments like the flute over here. And then I got the effects, just like transition effects, risers, and so on and so forth. And then I got the vocals last. And I got it laid out as verse 1, then the second verse, and the chorus. And that's pretty much how I got it going on. And then further from there, I got all my effects. So I got my reverbs, my delays, and then like my modulation effects. I got this doubler, the Aphex Oral Exciter, and then some parallel processing going on. Furthermore, in terms of organizing my session, I always create groups. So in this case, I have my kick going to a kick group. Every now and again, I'll have more than one kick. Sometimes there'll be like a kick for the verse and another kick for the chorus. And then, other things like that. And then I'll, put all those kicks in the same kick group. In this case, I don't have that going on, but I'm using my template, so I kind of just went with it. So I got the kick going to a kick group, and then I got my snare and clap going to the snare group. So both of these is going to the snare group. Then I got my hi-hat and open hi-hat going to cymbals group. And then I got all my percussion going to the percussion group. And then all these groups, the kick group, the snare group, and the percussion group, and the cymbals group is all going to the drum group. So all my drums is going into one place right here. That allows me to use any kind of processing on the group itself, for example, compression. And then I can also automate the volume during certain sections of the song, so that helps. Then I got the 808 going to the bass group. Like I was saying earlier, sometimes I might have multiple bass tracks, a different tone for the bass on the verse versus the chorus versus the outro, and then I'll have all those bass tracks in the same bass group. In this case, I don't. I'm just using an 808 as a bass, and I had that going to the bass group. I didn't really need to create a bass group, but again, I'm working off my template, so I'm just going to go with it. I got all these percussive melodic keyboard synthesizers going into the key group, and then I got this flute, which is more of a softer sound, going into a synth group. And then I got this effects, which is kind of, acting as a riser or some kind of a transition effect from the intro to the first verse. And that's going to an effects group. And a lot of times I'll have multiple effects on the same session, and all those are going to the effects group. So that allows me to do that. And then finally, after that, I have my vocals. And my vocals specifically, I got verse 1 and verse 2 group. So Roger, he's the artist for this session, and his main vocals and his doubles are going into verse 1 group, right? And then I got Jay Lewis, who's the second verse, and his main vocals and his doubles are going to verse 2 group. And then I got the hook, which is 3 tracks, 1 main and then 2 layers. And all that is going to the chorus group. And that's pretty much where the vocals are at. What I like to do further is I like to create an all instrument group and an all vocal group. So all my instruments, the drum group, the key group, the bass group, and the effects group are all going back to the instrument group. So all my instruments are coming back over here. And then same thing with the vocals. All my vocals, the verse 1 group, verse 2 group, and then the chorus group is going back to the all vocals group. And this is cool because, you know, during certain parts of the song, I can, you know, ride the entire vocals together, or I can ride the entire instruments together. A lot of times I like to add some kind of dynamic effects, for example, compression on the vocal group, just so there can be some consistency in terms of dynamic throughout the group, throughout the entire vocals in the entire song itself. And then sometimes I can ride the gain and automate the vocals during certain portions of the song. So that's pretty cool. Same thing with the instruments. And then, you know, after that, I have all my effects over here, like I was saying earlier. And all those effects are going to a group as well called the Effects Master. And sometimes I find myself going a little bit too crazy in terms of reverbs and delays when I sit back and listen to the track as a whole. And it's nice to have the Effects Master because I can turn down all the effects slightly just to kind of get it sitting right in the mix. So that's it. I hope that helps with you with your projects. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. There's nothing to it but to do it, you know, so hope this helps and hope everyone's doing okay. All right, take care. Peace.